Let me tell you a story about a doctor who tried to cure one fatal disease by giving his patients another one. In the late 1800s, neurosyphilis was a death sentence. There was no cure, no hope, and a slow, agonizing decline. But a psychiatrist named Julius Wagner-Jauregg noticed something bold, or what others called crazy. He saw that syphilis patients who happened to catch a secondary illness that caused a massive, prolonged fever actually started to recover. Wagner-Jauregg had a hunch. The fever wasn't a side effect. It was the weapon. So, he did the logical thing. He started injecting his patients with live strains of typhoid and smallpox. Eventually, he settled on a weak version of malaria. He would give his patients bone-rattling fevers. Then, once the syphilis was cooked out of their system, he'd cure the malaria with quinine. It worked. 6 out of 10 patients recovered. He won the Nobel Prize in 1927. Now, here is the kicker. Science now proves he was right. A 1-degree increase in body temperature can slow a virus's replication by a factor of 200. Fevers turn on the immune system. They are the body's natural defense mechanism. But, if you have a fever right now, what do? You take a Tylenol. You fight it. Even though it's rational to want the fever to stay and fight the infection, it is unreasonable to expect a human being to shiver under a blanket in pain when they have a pill that can make it stop. This gap between what is technically correct and what is humanly tolerable is the secret to surviving the world of finance. If you're tired of being treated like a spreadsheet and want to learn how to manage money like a human being, hit the subscribe button. We dive into the psychology of wealth every week. Now, let's talk about why you should stop trying to be so rational. In the 1950s, Harry Markowitz changed the world. He developed the math for how to perfectly balance risk and return. He literally won a Nobel Prize for it. But when it came time to invest his own money, do you think he used his complex formulas? Not a chance. He was asked how he allocated his portfolio, and he admitted, "I visualized my grief if the market went way up and I wasn't in it, or if it went way down and I was completely in it. So I split it 50-50ths." Think about that. The pioneer of modern portfolio theory chose a strategy based on minimizing regret, not maximizing returns. On paper, 50-50 might not have been rational for his age or goals. But it was reasonable. A rational investor looks at numeric facts. A reasonable investor looks at the person sitting across the dinner table. They look at their neighbor, their spouse, and their own personal doubts. Something can be technically true but contextually nonsense. In 2008, Yale researchers proved that young people should use massive debt, leverage, to buy stocks. Mathematically, even if you got wiped out, you'd end up 90% wealthier in the long run if you just kept going. The math is rational. But the strategy is absurd. No human being can watch 100% of their life savings vanish in a week and then wake up the next morning and say, "Let's do that again." They would quit. They would sue. They would be broken. This brings us to a piece of advice that sounds like a fortune cookie but is actually a mathematical edge. You should love your investments. Conventional finance says you should be emotionless. Don't fall in love with a stock, they say. But that is a liability. If you don't care about the company, the product, or the mission, you will walk away the moment the price drops 20%. However, if you love the science behind a company or you're passionate about its team, that emotional connection provides the endurance you need to stay in the game. Look at the odds of making money in the U.S. stock market. 1 day, 50-50, a coin flip. 1 year, 68%. 10 years, 88%. 20 years, 100%, historically. Anything that keeps you in the game, even if it's irrational love for a stock, is a quantifiable advantage because it gets you to that 20-year mark where the odds are in your favor. There are so many times when being reasonable is better than being rational. Take home bias. Economists say you should invest globally. But most people invest mostly in their own country. Is it rational? No. But investing is essentially giving money to strangers. If familiarity helps you take that leap of faith and stay invested, it's reasonable. Or take Jack Bogle, the founder of Vanguard. He spent his life preaching low-cost, passive index funds. He famously said high-fee funds violate the humble rules of arithmetic. Yet, Jack Bogle invested his own money in his son's high-fee hedge fund. When asked why, he didn't cite a spreadsheet. He said, "We do some things for family reasons. If it's not consistent, well, life isn't always consistent." Finance is not a math class. It's a study of how people behave. You are not a spreadsheet. You are a screwed-up, emotional person, and that is okay. The most rational plan is useless if you can't stick to it during a crash. The reasonable plan that lets you sleep at night, stay invested for 20 years, and be kind to your family is the one that actually makes you wealthy. Stop aiming for the mathematically optimal. Aim for the strategy that maximizes your peace of mind. Because at the end of the day, you don't live your life in a calculator. You live it in the real world. In the next video, we're going to talk about the most dangerous part of a plan, the part that assumes the plan will go according to the plan. We're talking about room for error. See you there.